Your most valuable possession is your character. You see, the money that you have can come and go. The objects that you have, you can break or lose or have stolen. But your character, that's with you forever. And John Adams knew that. And he had a big decision to make. You see, the Boston Massacre had just taken place. There'd been a group of British soldiers guarding a house or a building, and a mob of colonists had come up. You see, feelings in Boston during this time were very anti-British. They didn't like the unpopular taxes. They didn't like the fact that the British were in their streets. And the mob started by just calling names and insulting them. But pretty soon things started to turn a little dark as they were threatened by big men with clubs, or snowballs with rocks were thrown at them. Sometimes even full-on bricks were thrown. The nervous soldiers saw the mob creeping closer and closer, and they were frightened for their lives. The commanding officer ordered the men to stand guard and be ready, and someone shouted fire. Some witnesses say it was the commanding officer, others say it was someone in the crowd. Some say that someone got hit with a rock or a snowball and his musket went off. Whatever started it, all of the British soldiers fired their guns into the crowd, killing 5 colonists and wounding more. They were immediately arrested, and the cry in Boston was out for blood. These men had fired on innocent civilians. They deserved to be executed. Well, they needed to go to trial, and who would defend them? Well, John Adams, who was a lawyer, knew that someone needed to defend the villains of the Boston Massacre. And he thought about it for a very long and hard time, because he knew if he stepped up and was the lawyer for the British soldiers, his law firm would probably be demolished. No patriotic colonist would ever go to the lawyer who defended the British. But then he realized that doing the right thing was more important than taking care of his business. So he stepped up and he defended those British soldiers. And he did it brilliantly. You can read his arguments, they're still online. His closing statement is powerful. I mean, it's the kind of stuff you see on a TV show. John Adams believed in the rule of law. And his arguments showed that the soldiers, while he disagreed with the fact that they were there and the fact that they were supporting taxation without representation, he proved that they were just doing their job and that they had been threatened by a mob. All but 2 of the soldiers were completely exonerated and freed. The 2 soldiers who were convicted of manslaughter, instead of being executed or going to prison, they were branded on their thumbs. Even the commanding officer who ordered his men to be ready was set free. Instead of being the act that destroyed John Adams' career, this act propelled him to the front of the public mind and set him up as a man of honor who lived not by popular opinion, not by polling the crowd, but by principles and the ideals that he believed in. And when America needed an ambassador to send to France, and later to England, and later someone to write the Constitution, and later to be the first Vice President of the United States, and later to be the second President of the United States, they called on John Adams, because they knew that even if it was unpopular, he would do the right thing. Evil thrives when good men and women do nothing. We saw it in Mao's China, we saw it in Russia, we saw it in Nazi Germany. We're starting to see it here in America. Just think how easy it would have been for John Adams to look the other way, to bury himself in another case and say, well, someone else will defend those British soldiers. It would have been very easy. It would have been very self-serving. But John Adams knew what his responsibility was, and he stepped up and did it. You see, God calls all of us to do the right thing. Sometimes the right thing isn't the easy thing. Sometimes the right thing will make you unpopular. You'll lose friends. Maybe you'll lose your job. Many people have lost their lives. But everyone who's gone through that fire, that crucible, has believed in one simple truth. The most important thing you have is your character. And popularity, and promotions, and people's opinions, it's nothing compared to who you are deep down inside. And so today, take a lesson from John Adams. And when you're faced with that temptation, do the right thing. Because your character is worth it. And God knows this country needs you. God bless.